In this class, we're going to look at the product life cycle and at selling strategies. So we start by dealing with the product life cycle, which shows the various stages of a product from the launch of the product through to its decline. So it's as if products, in a sense, get born, forgive the English, and then die. So they go through a life cycle. They have their birth, they come into existence, they live out, metaphorically live out a period of time, and then they enter into decline. So products are not sold equally throughout time. They tend to enjoy popularity and then fade away. The model is very important for marketers and the sales team. The concept provides direct and marketing strategies. So it's important in developing strategies to understand the part of the product life cycle the product is in, because that will determine the appropriate strategies. And the marketing team will devise strategies that are particularly useful in anticipating the future changes that will take place also. So, for example, when a product is becoming very popular, the sales team should also be devising strategies for when the product is entering into a declining phase. Because almost invariably products will go through rapid increase in sales and then taper off and eventually decline and eventually fall from favor completely and will fade out of the market completely. So it's important that the management team and the marketing team are aware of this, and that the marketing team should have strategies in place for different phases of the product life cycle. Clearly, different stages in the product life cycle will require different marketing and selling strategies, as I've just said. But it's important to make the note. So different strategies at different phases, and it's important that the marketing team have contingency plans for when the product enters a down phase or starts to come under pressure in the market. They have revised strategies to help prolong the life of the product. If we look at it schematically, we see it as it's almost like a normal distribution in statistics. If you've done statistics to any reasonable level, you will have met the normal distribution. It's this bell-shaped curve, and we encounter shapes like this in many parts of our studies in business. This particular one is the product life cycle. So we have on the left we have the introduction on the horizontal axis. We have the time scale, and then on the left near the origin we have the introduction. So the product is picking up. It's been introduced to the market. Then it goes through a growth phase in the middle. Then a maturity phase where it peaks and starts to decline, and then into proper decline later. So what we'll do is we'll talk about these phases and see what's involved in them. We'll start with the introductory phase, and then later on we'll go into growth, maturity and decline. And in the middle we'll also deal with selling strategies. So let's deal with the introductory stage. Well, this stage involves the launch of the new product. At this stage the product is introduced to the market. It's been designed, it's been produced, it's been tested in the market, and then it's launched. It is common for sales to be low at this stage until customers are aware of the product and of its distinct features. So when a product is introduced, generally speaking, customers are reticent to buy the product or to engage with the product. There tends to be a period in when nothing seems to happen. Nothing very much seems to happen. Sales are very sluggish. They're just rising slowly. But this is because the customers are becoming aware of the product. They see the product. They're becoming familiar with it in the shops. They see it in the shops. And at that stage, sales tend to be low, but there's greater product recognition on the part of the customer. Advertising and promotion costs are generally high as the aim is to attract customer attention. So companies tend to spend a lot at the introductory stage trying to launch the product, trying to make customers aware of it, and they may use expensive advertising and promotion to try and promote the product, get it to take off. So the aim is to develop a market and the demand. Try to cultivate a demand for the product amongst the customers. Get the customers to recognize the product and buy it. It's been just introduced. It's new. The customers will have some degree of resistance. Try to overcome that and get it started in the market. Now let's talk about the impact of selling strategies. It's moving away slightly from the product life cycle, and we've just done one phase of the product life cycle, but it's worth just having a look at this stage to see the type of selling strategies that the companies may use and their impact. And then we'll return to the product life cycle and complete the other parts of it. So before the launch of a new product, the sales team must conduct research on the product type, and they must look at previous models and how the new proposed model varies from previous models perhaps that were in the market, or look at the innovative characteristics of the product that's about to be launched. So prior to launching a new product, the sales team must have researched the likely impact of the product in the market. It could do this through market research, through focus groups. It could do it through some sort of survey. It could do it by simply developing the product and then getting instant responses to it in the market. Just taking it to the market and getting a feel for what people think about the product in some market setting. Information needs to be gathered on the type of market the existing customers are. In fact, they need to see if a new set of customers need to be developed. So it's important that the marketing people know the market. They know what the existing customers want, what they buy, what they're used to, what their characteristics are, their spending patterns and so on. And then they need to decide if this new proposed product will suit the existing customers, or indeed should a new set of customers be cultivated. Perhaps the existing products in the market are aimed at a certain demographic group. It's aimed at people over 40. Well, perhaps people over 20 should now be targeted with a new product. So marketing people have to make the decision. The marketing department, through its research, through the marketing director and the various expertises within the department, have to decide what is the best way forward with the product. The aim of this stage, the introductory stage, is to penetrate the market, get into the market, generate awareness and interest amongst consumer groups. That's the important part. Get the product into the market, get it recognized, get consumer groups interested. So the pressure is on the marketing section to try and work out the best strategy to enable that to happen. Launching a new product is a risky venture. Selling strategies may include providing customers with free samples and demonstrations, or product guarantees and warranties. So there immediately are two very important ways forward, trying to allay the fears of the customers that they're not going to buy something which is useless, they've wasted their money. So they might give them free samples to get over the resistance that the customers may have to the product, give them free demonstrations as well. They may guarantee the product, that if it doesn't work they will return their money. They may also try to rely on the image of the company that's endorsing the product. The company that's made the product may have been in the market for a long time and has enjoyed a good reputation in the market. Therefore, the company will be used to endorse the product. They overcome the resistance of the customers. The customers will see the product name, they'll see the logo. It'll give them confidence. It's a good product. And they'll be looking for things like reliability, the company's past history in developing reliable products, but also innovative products, because they don't want to buy something which is old-fashioned. They want to buy something which is contemporary, which fits the modern day, fits the time period they are, and fits their lifestyle. But there are also issues about quality and performance reputation. And again, going back to the company's reputation, that may help to overcome this. If the company is noted for its quality products and for the performance of its products, then that may be a strong endorsement of the new product. So customers will overcome their resistance and buy the product. It could also be that there are health and safety standards that the company have met and there has never been any problems with the product in terms of health and safety. The products of the company in terms of health and safety. The company may enjoy a long history of trading, of production and trading, and in that long history there have been no major incidents. So the customers feel reassured about the new product and may buy the new product. So these are some of the important selling strategies. Now, there are others. Launching a new product is a risky venture, as I said. It includes the use of introductory low prices to generate an interest, and also offering after-sales service to develop the product. So it's not just, as I said earlier, overcoming that resistance, but it's also positively trying to push the product. So introductory prices. For a limited period, the product is offered cheaply in the marketplace to generate an interest, even though it comes from a reputable company, even though it's seen as a high quality product, it's safe, good health and safety standards, it's got good performance, the company's got a history of all of this, so the new product can be expected to be the same, even though it's got all of that. It still may be the case that introductory prices are required, just to push the customers into the product, to make sure that the product will take off. And also making sure that not only is the product guaranteed and there are warranties and so on, but also there's good after sales. And the company may have a good history in having after sales and the use of after sales for its products, and customers may have used the after sales service of the company for different products, for other products, and know how the company treat customers after they've purchased the product. And that again will help in generating sales. If of course the company has no history of other products, it's a new product with a new company, there are going to be big issues. There's a big issue about getting the product established in the market and get it set up. So it may just have to rely on low prices it may have to rely on good advertising and good promotions and keep its fingers crossed. The advice of a salesperson who can discuss customers' needs against the product features. Well, a salesperson, the sales team must be adequately trained. The sales team must know the technicalities of the product. They must know its design, its functionality. They must be able to deal with any questions that the customers can bring up. If the sales team are easily confused about the product or haven't got the answers to hand, it seems like the product is somewhat experimental. Customers may be put off from buying it. So it's important that the sales team are completely at ease about all aspects of the product and can project that, can talk about it to potential customers. As I said earlier, if it's a new product with a new company, there are many more issues. It hasn't got the advantages of relying to some extent on the history of a company and the trading history of the company and the experiences that customers may have had with that company. If it's a new company, the sales team have a much tougher job, and they must perhaps rely on lower prices, very slick promotional techniques. They must generate an interest amongst the buying public, let's say, or the customers of the product, whoever it is. It may be sold on to other companies as opposed to the general public. But whoever the customers are, they must have confidence in the product, and the sales team must be able to project that confidence. Let's return to the product life cycle fully and talk about the growth phase. Everything we've dealt with so far is to deal with the introduction and the problems of introducing the product. Now we're dealing with the growth phase, where the product is becoming very successful and growing in status in the market. The stage is concerned with the growth rate in terms of profit and sales. That's how we would measure the success of the product. It's looking at the number of units sold, but it's looking at the profitability of the product. It's pointless having a large amount of sales if it's not making profit. So the whole idea is that the company should generate a profit. As products start to produce profits, the company is in a position to form alliances, joint ventures and takeovers. So as the product makes its mark in the market, as the product becomes successful in the market, more profits flow into the company. There's more awareness of the company, more awareness of the product. The company can then start to seek alliances with other companies. They can start to form relationships in terms of commercial ventures, and they may share facilities, and there's all sorts of possibilities the companies can get involved with, and these are dealt with in other videos on the course. But just for the moment, we can say that once the company starts to generate a profit and the product is successful, then new possibilities open. So the increase in demand may encourage distribution channels. If it's a product that is sold to the public, then the company may start to open its own shops, or it may franchise the product in different markets. There are all sorts of possibilities, as I said, but new distribution channels may be put in place. Advertising and promotional costs are high at this stage, as is the important to build brand loyalty, recognition, and deter competitors. Well, as the product is becoming more successful, competitors will start to look at it, and they will want to share some of those profits. So they will make similar products if they can. Make similar products and try and sell the similar products. So competitors will come into the market. The company will not have it to itself. So it's important that there is brand loyalty. It's important that because they were the prime mover, they were the first ones in there, that they should be able to exploit that. Customers should recognize them as the ones who innovated the market. They're the ones who developed the product. So that message needs to be got across. The growth stage does not require forceful selling strategies compared to the introductory stage. It's not that the foot can be taken off the accelerator too much. The marketing team must still push to make sure that the product not only sells, but it, in a sense, becomes consolidated in the market. It becomes widely recognized and brand loyalty is being built up. Otherwise, as I said in the previous note, competitors will enter the market. But it's a different type of marketing. They're not introducing the product anymore. They are now making more awareness of the product, generating more awareness of the product amongst the customers and getting the customers more interested in the brand, the reputation of the product, and the services that go with it, after-sale services and so on. This is probably the easiest stage in the product concept, the life cycle product concept. This is probably the easiest stage because the product is growing in popularity. So to some extent, all the efforts of the introductory stage are now paying off. It's in the growth stage. In the growth stage, the product is now established and there is less risk of failure. And there is more consumer awareness and greater product trust. More has been sold, so customers will have more confidence in the product. They see their neighbours with the same product, or they've heard more about it, or it's talked about more. So generally speaking, there's more confidence in the market. There will be more sales, more growth. This is an easier stage than the introductory stage. The aim of the growth stage is to continue generating revenue and sales by expanding markets and customer groups. Even though the product is experiencing increasing sales in the growth phase, it is still important that all the market is covered. And it's only when the whole market, however that is defined, the whole country or the whole region or all of the potential customers for the product in a given area, or however it's defined, it's only when that it has been covered can the company then say that the product saturation has occurred and they have met their goal. Of course, you could also say, well, they've met it within that region, but there's nothing stopping them launching the product internationally in other countries. So the push for growth will continue. Bringing the product to another country, launching it there, it starts the whole process over again. Customers in the new country will have resistance to the product. It'll be in an introductory stage, albeit with a history of success in one country. So therefore, it will not be as difficult to introduce as it was originally when first developed. The growth stage, there is a threat of competition and new entrants within the market. As I said earlier, a product that's successful will attract competition. Other companies will see it being successful and will want to make similar products to try and share in the profits. And the company must have a strategy to deal with the competition. In fact, right from the outset, it's dealing with competition, but it's dealing with potential competition. it must always have in mind that this will happen. So it must have strategies ready that if it does happen, what will the company do? How will it respond? Will it cut price? Will it engage in different types of marketing? How will it deal with competition should it happen? So the selling strategy really should revolve around building customer loyalty and brand image. That's a way of stopping competition. If customer loyalty can be built up so the customers see the product and they will only buy from that producer. That producer has a good brand image, it's got a good reputation, good quality product. So that's a way of stopping competition. Selling strategies aim to reach customers before competitors. This includes making regular sales visits and market penetration activities. It's important before the competitors get started that some degree of brand loyalty is starting to develop. It's important that the company moves fast at the very early stages to try to consolidate its position in the market, to protect its position, and also build up a considerable amount of brand loyalty amongst the customers. And that will act as a barrier to entry so that the potential competitors will be put off. There's a barrier to entry, the barrier to entry being customer loyalty. Now on to the maturity stage. At this stage, as you can see from the diagram, the product becomes very popular, it peaks, and then it starts to decline. Then sales start to fall off. It's going through maturity. This is seen as the most profitable stage because brand awareness is strong and advertising expenses can be reduced. So the company doesn't have to spend as much to get the same sales. So it's more profitable in the maturity stage. However, eventually sales reduces as the product has reached its peak. Once the product reaches the peak, there's nowhere else to go except down. Price war and intense competition may occur at this stage. At this stage, other companies may have found ways into the market with related products or similar products, and competition starts to hot up, and there may be price wars where companies are underselling the original company. They're underselling it. They've cut its price, so customers are leaving and buying the cheaper alternatives. So there may be price wars, and this will affect the company. The main aim of this stage is to keep customers purchasing the product rather than the competitors, if possible. Fall back on brand loyalty, fall back on reputation, image, all the traditional things we talked about earlier, the quality of the product, the health and safety issues, the backup and support, the customer services. Fall back on all of these to try and maintain customer loyalty. But it will be difficult because the new competitors coming into the market will be aggressively trying to find a return on their investment. So they will want to take the customers. The maturity stage is based on maintaining sales through repeated purchases. There is very little growth in the market size. The market has, in a sense, reached its maximum. Now the company is getting repeat sales. That's what it's relying on. So it's relying on existing customers returning and buying the product over and over. So that determines the size of the market. The role of the sales team is to maintain customer accounts, to continue providing customer service and gain customer loyalty. But it's often the case that the sales team will try to create customer accounts, will go to visit shops and distribution outlets and warehouses and whoever it is that's buying the product, other companies or whoever, and try to maintain a relationship with that customer so as to continue the sales into that distribution point. The sales team must maintain regular contact with customers, and the approach in this stage is different than the growth stage. In the growth stage, it was trying to find as many customers as possible so that they could experience the product and hopefully start to get some brand loyalty and some awareness of the product and the advantages of the product. But in the maturity stage, it's trying to have regular contact with customers to try and reinforce the message that the product is still there, the product is still of very good quality, the product is still highly desirable. So it's trying to maintain the customers. It's trying to keep them interested in the product so they will continue to buy. Introducing selling strategies in this stage can help increase sales and extend the product life cycle. It could be that different selling strategies can help, and the market could be extended somewhat. But as I said earlier, it's normally into repeat sales at this stage. The full size of the market has been experienced. But if enough customers can be found, the market may be extended. It may be existing customers buying more of the product, so that the product life cycle is extended. It just doesn't fall off like the diagram suggested. It continues for a while. Sales continue at a good level for some time because of the impact of successful selling techniques. Strategies can include product modification, the introduction of new features onto a product, or an upgraded model. Well, depending on the nature of the product, it may be possible to innovate the product in some way, add some new functionality to the product. A vacuum cleaner is a vacuum cleaner, but then a vacuum cleaner with a bowl instead of two wheels is an innovation. So it's able to move and be manipulated and moved around more easily. But a vacuum cleaner with a bowl will have a period of success. It will grow in the market until it reaches saturation, like we're talking about here. So then it's important to put a light on it. So people using it will now see into dark spots and be able to vacuum in dark areas. But it's still a vacuum cleaner now with a bowl and a light. And eventually the market will be filled, and the product will start to decline as competitors come in and start making similar products. So it's important to go back and make a vacuum cleaner with a ball and a light that's wireless. That's an innovation. And that gives a new lease of life to the product. Well, it's not the original product anymore. It's been innovated beyond all belief, but it's now a highly successful product, as was the original. It's got a different technology. And this is the way, in that case, it was a Dyson vacuum cleaner I had in mind. But a highly successful product, a very high quality product like the Dyson vacuum cleaner, that one will still experience the product life cycle unless the people working for Dyson's can innovate the product and add new functionality and new facilities which will extend the life of the product. Product modification is a good way of attracting more customers and keeping existing customers engaged in the product. The reason for that is simple. We as customers, we like new things. We like new developments. We like new functionality and new designs. It's essentially the same product, but it's got more. It can do more. It makes our life easier, and we like it for that reason. A successful strategy like this type of innovation can gain competitive advantage over competitors. I'm sorry. The competitors have to run hard and fast to try and keep up. The competitors will have to innovate and have good research and development facilities. They will have to be committed to their products to try and beat this type of innovation. So the winners in this story, I suppose, are the customers, because the customers get a quality product that has a lot of functionality, a lot of facilities. It is new. It's seen as up to date. It is a good product, and in that sense, the maturity stage in the product life cycle has been almost postponed. The product goes into a new lease of life and into a new, perhaps, era of growth. So instead of having a bell-shaped curve, we'd have a curve that starts to dip and then goes back up. Eventually it'll dip again, unless the company can continue to innovate. Selling strategies also include expanding into new markets. The sales team can take the product into different markets in order to generate interest and continue sales. It is a risky strategy, but it may be possible to take the product into a different country and launch the product there. The product would have to meet with the culture of the country and the requirements of the people living in that country and so on. And there are risks. There are risks that unscrupulous producers in those countries will then look at the product and think that they could make it. They will re-engineer the product. They will take the product apart, study how it works, how it fits together, and start making copies. So it is a risky strategy. But it may be the case that the companies have the need to do this, to take on that risk. The sales team must undertake research about new markets, make contacts within the market, they must network, establish the company in the new market, and they must have good publicity and advertising. So simply going into a new market is not an easy option. Going into the new market will take time and effort and resources. But if those are in place, then it may be a strategy. But bearing in mind, there are risks in diversifying into new markets. So now we're into the decline stage. We're back to our bell shape. We've discussed the maturity stage where companies will start to develop modifications for products to try and extend the life of the product. They'll start to experience competition and they'll be looking for new markets. Now let's have a few words about the decline stage. During this stage, sales begin to decline as the market becomes saturated. The product becomes obsolete or customers' preferences change. So whatever happens, the end of the product is almost there. The market may become saturated because other companies start to produce similar items or related items or replacement items, and customers may change because now they see the product as old-fashioned, or it could be generational. Perhaps younger customers think, well, that's what their parents bought and therefore it's old-fashioned and they don't want it. Whatever the reason, the point is it starts to be seen as obsolete. It becomes obsolete. The cost of producing the product may increase in line with reducing sales, and therefore there is no more profit being generated. So as output falls, the overheads of the business still have to be paid. So there is reducing profits associated with the product. So the company is under pressure because of falling sales, is unable to properly meet its costs in terms of overheads, premises, maintaining machinery, and paying the marketing personnel, and budgets become much tighter. It may be caused, as I said earlier, by the introduction of new products and the changes in customers' choices. Well, new products could be related to the old product, oddly enough, but they have been innovated so much that they are almost not recognizable. But they are replacing the existing product. The impact on selling strategies. Well, at some stage, a product will reach the decline stage. Sales will drop off and customer interest will shift to other products. Newer versions and models, or competitor products, or whatever, these newer versions will enter the market, newer updated versions of the product, new models, new functionality, new facilities, new capability, perhaps cheaper as well because they've been produced in other countries where labour is cheaper, whatever. So it's difficult for the company to keep up. The sales team play an important role in determining the future of a declining product. The sales team must battle to make sure that the product is still receiving attention from customers, and it's trying to position the product and attending trade shows and marketing the product and advertising the product. It may be an uphill battle, and the management will have to decide at what stage to stop and to simply close that line of production. Strategies in this stage include customer feedback techniques, maintaining customer loyalty by customer relationship management. Well, the sales team can work very hard in trying to build relationships with the customers and have personalized emails to them and give them feedback about what the company is doing and where the product is being used and so on. But essentially what's needed in this situation is for major innovation, major modifications to the product that will take on the competitors and will give the product a new lease of life. If the company can't do it, if it can't modify the product or bring out some related product using its production facilities that will be attractive to the customers and start a new cycle with a new product, then the company or this line of production may come to an end. So what we've seen here is that products go through an introductory stage, they go through a growth stage when they're rapidly gaining presence in the market, then they mature, which is highly profitable for the business because the product is seen as well established, but competitors may start to creep in, and also some customers may become alienated because the product is seen as somewhat old-fashioned, and eventually it'll enter into decline and possibly into complete closure and finish, end in the market. So that's our look at the product life cycle and selling strategies that may be deployed to try and help the product become established and maintain its presence in the market for as long as possible. And with that, we can conclude this class because that's all we've got to say on this topic. So let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.